Even legacy media is now acknowledging what we in the XRP community have known to be true for over 10 years at this point, which is that XRP is one of the most valuable cryptocurrencies ever created. And I'm talking in terms of functionality. I'm talking in terms of utility, though, yes, of course, that's unquestionably true. Also, if you're talking about market price, XRP, if you throw out the stable coins, is number 3 in market cap. But look at this. Think about this. This is a headline from CNBC. Ripple Labs is conquering crypto. Now the XRP-linked firm wants to take on traditional finance. And so they are talking about Ripple in here, but they also are talking about XRP. I only have 2 little gripes. This is definitely not a troll article, even though I have 2 little things that maybe you could consider nitpicky, but I'm still going to complain about them because it's my channel, damn it. I do what I want on my channel. But just think about this. CNBC recognizing the importance of Ripple, recognizing the importance of XRP and the XRP ledger, while the toxic Bitcoin maximalists are still missing the mark. Think about that. Legacy media, which is a trash heap, legacy media is ahead of Bitcoin maximalists in understanding the crypto space. I just find that rather comical. So I'm going to run through this with you because as far as I'm concerned, this is almost entirely accurate. And it absolutely vindicates what we in the XRP community have been saying for the longest damn time. People in our community have been saying this since before I even knew XRP existed. I've been here, about 8 years. Now the world is seeing it. Where do you think XRP goes as time passes? XRP is an early winner of the crypto space, and we were freaking right. It's just nice to see it acknowledged here. But let's go ahead and jump into this. Ripple Labs has become one of the world's largest cryptocurrency companies, but executives aren't stopping there. CEO Brad Garlinghouse told CNBC. Now, over the past year, the firm has ramped up efforts to bridge the Web3 world and an industry that has long been viewed as its foil, traditional finance. Okay, now, if you've ever wondered, what are people talking about when they say Web3 or Web 3.0? What are they actually talking about? So what's Web 1? What's Web 2? Well, Web 1 is just viewed as the internet as it was upon launch. You could go and you could pull up information, but there wasn't really the social side. There wasn't really a commerce side of things. You could just kind of pull data. Web 2 is the way that most people understand the internet today. It's with the advent of Facebook, social media in general. Amazon obviously picked up. So basically it's the world that most people who use the internet are familiar with today. Web 3 is the same as Web 2, except for Web 3 is decentralized. So it's the blockchain world. So you can imagine social media, for example, where there is no central authority, where there is no central authority that can just shut you down and tell you what you can and can't say, so on and so forth. Anyway, Peace continues. In an interview with CNBC's Crypto World at the Ripple Swell 2025 conference in New York, Garlinghouse said his firm's aim to offer a wide range of traditional financial services built on blockchain infrastructure, capitalizing on growing institutional adoption of digital assets. Folks, that's a much different pitch than for what it's been for most of the last 12 plus years that Ripple has existed. Because before it's something along the lines of we're a small fintech company, we're a fintech startup that engages in cross-border transactions, foreign exchange transactions. It was along those lines. Now it's more like, hey, we're a company that offers enterprise solutions for customers, basically. So just imagine solutions in the crypto world for major corporations. A much different pitch, and they've definitely spread out in terms of the breadth of offerings that they have for their customers. And all of this is with XRP at mind. And Brad Garlinghouse has said as much, and he's been saying it bluntly recently. So I've been insisting this the whole time that I've been running this YouTube channel since late 2018, because it was just very obvious through their actions that XRP is clearly at the center of everything that Ripple thinks about and everything that they're doing. And then Brad Garlinghouse said as much right here. Look at this. And this is a post for October 24th. This is from Brad Garlinghouse's official account here. And he said, I'm reminding you all that XRP sits at the center of everything Ripple does. Okay, so I was obviously right about that. I don't think it was like a stretch, but nice to see that he is not beating around the bush anymore. And then he also shared this post. He was highlighting that there's that $500 million investment in Ripple. So they're now worth $40 billion. And I covered that at the time. But look what he wrote here. He doubled down on this concept. He wrote, this investment isn't just validation of Ripple's growth strategy and business built on the foundation of XRP, but also a clear bet on what the future of crypto will look like. So it does include the foundation of XRP. He didn't used to talk like this, but recently he did it. Because look at this. This is November 5th. So it's not, I'm not saying that we need Ripple for XRP or the XRP ledger to thrive, but I mean, I think that a lot of you came to the same conclusion I did when you found out about XRP and you started researching it. So for me, it was 2017. And as soon as I quickly found out that there was a company, Ripple, that didn't have power over the XRP ledger, of course, because the XRP ledger, it was very obvious it was decentralized even back then. It's just even more decentralized now because it's a sliding scale. But it was very obvious to me that it's a positive thing that you have a juggernaut like Ripple. They were huge even back then in 2017, much smaller than they are now, but still big. And it was so obvious to me that a company with that type of, fiscal war chest, that would be a good thing for the XRP ecosystem, because if this goes sideways, Ripple has the most to lose because they own the most XRP. And so now here we are 8 years after that. And obviously I've been vindicated. All of you I'm willing to bet you feel the same. They've been a force for good for the XRP ecosystem. We're better for it. It was just so obviously true that all this concern, but Ripple could just dump on your head, and that every behavior that they've ever displayed is to the contrary, including locking up the vast majority of the XRP they own in escrow, so they can't just dump the vast majority of the market, and they don't. Even the part that gets unlocked, they only sell maybe about 20% of that per month. It's just it's a tiny percentage, like half a percentage of global volume in any given monthly period. It's nothing. That's smaller than the increase in circulating supply for many other coins, including certain years in Bitcoin. So it is what it is here. But it's just so obvious that XRP is a early winner of the crypto space. We did pick an actual winner. Anyway, a blockchain is a decentralized digital ledger that logs transactions across a network of computers. Isn't it cute that legacy media in 2025, they feel they need to put something like that in here? The normies don't know the basic things. Anyway, I want to see Ripple invest in the future and get ahead of where the market's going, Garlinghouse said Tuesday. The assets we have been buying have been on the traditional finance side, so we can bring crypto-enabled solutions to that traditional financial world. And folks, that's another thing that I told you was going to happen when I launched this channel. And I'm not the only one that did recognize this, but I'm sure many of you did as well. But it was just always obvious that, we were going to see a blurring of the lines between what counts as being the crypto world and what constitutes traditional finance. Because as crypto has creeped into traditional finance and traditional finance has creeped into crypto, it's really basically just finance now. I mean, we're still making that distinction now, so maybe you don't want to say full on that it's the same thing, but we're getting there. We're pretty much getting there. Fast forward 10 years, and it's not even going to be the crypto market. It's just going to be finance. I mean, if you want to talk about the segments of a market, fine. But when you're talking about institutions that do things, it's just the market. That's the point that I'm making. Anyway, Ripple has been on a nearly $4 billion acquisition spree in hopes of building a financial services powerhouse. In 2025 alone, buying prime brokerage Hidden Road for nearly $1.3 billion in April, and software firm G Treasury for more than $1 billion this fall. Last week, it launched an offering through its brokerage that will provide U.S.-based institutions access to over-the-counter spot market trading across several tokens, including XRP, by the way, raised $500 million in fresh funding and lifted its market value to $40 billion. That's right. Ripple, the company, is worth $40 billion, and you'll love to see it. And so it was very obvious, even if you go back 2.5 years ago, I want to say it was May 2023 when Ripple first bought a custody company, Medico. I'm almost certain that was May 2023, but you can Google if you want to fact check. And it became quickly clear, Ripple is absolutely not pivoting away from XRP, but expanding what they were offering. So they wanted to do things that, yes, are XRP specific, but also things that are just going to allow for the adoption of crypto in general, with them understanding that XRP is a part of that. So a bigger crypto pie, and everything they do to help crypto, generally speaking, is good for XRP. Even if you consider that to be an indirect effect, it's still true. But then they're doing things that directly impact XRP. Like, for instance, that purchase of prime brokerage firm Hidden Road, which is now known as Ripple Prime. I think they wrote nearly $1.3 billion. I believe it was $1.25 billion, more specifically, but splitting hairs here. They're aiming to bring the $3 trillion in annual flows from that firm onto the XRP ledger, which requires XRP. Because that's the way XRP is coded. If you tokenize stuff and put it on the XRP ledger, every single transaction requires XRP, literally. That makes XRP useful. And it's not like people are sitting here calculating how much XRP is going to have to be used for transactions that's at scale, and then that's what XRP is. No. That's not how humans speculate. Anytime I see people say that, I saw people make that argument in 2017 and 2018, and I would just roll my eyes every time. I'm like, no, that's not why people invest. They're not doing those calculations. They don't care. If they see that there's an asset that's useful, they're going to plow money in with the expectation that other people are going to see the same thing. It has nothing to do with crunching numbers about how much XRP is getting used per transaction. That's a silly ass idea. Some people in the XRP community still think that matters. It does not. And that's why I also said, even though XRP being used as a bridge currency, for example, I mean, Ripple will tell you, this is not me saying this, and this is not a negative even, although it might sound like it's on the surface if you haven't heard this before, but XRP used as a bridge currency does not pump the price of XRP in and of itself, because you have equal buying and selling pressures in the market in real time, because XRP is purchased, right? So that it's in a geographic region on an exchange. So you'd think, okay, well, the buying pressure, but if you have a bunch of that, it makes the price go up. Okay, but what happens next? It's then sold. It's then sold in a different market. So you have one market where the price is going up, one market where the price is going down. And then traders, being savvy, they recognize if there becomes even a little bit of a difference in the value of XRP market-wise from one market to the other, then they're going to buy in the market where XRP is cheaper, move it to the market where XRP is trading for slightly higher, and sell right there for the profit. It's called arbitrage. That is arbitrage. And so markets get flattened out because of all of this. So it was never the case that XRP was going to cause the price of XRP to move up because of the volume itself. That is not the case, even though it's true. Any amount of XRP being used for that use case can't be used for anything else. I understand that. But it's always going to be a smaller percentage of the overall supply. But that's not why I was excited for XRP used as a bridge currency. It's because that's utility. The fact that XRP is getting used, that does attract people. It did attract me. I'm willing to bet it attracted you. And not that it would be the only reason that you were interested. Because for me, it wasn't always just about what Ripple's doing. It's about the overall XRP ecosystem, and Ripple, yes, they're a part of that. So I've always talked about it. So all that to say, it doesn't matter how much XRP is being used for the specific use case. The point is, it's the glue for all of this. If all of this that's happening is valuable, that makes XRP valuable, and it makes people desire it. That is demand, and there's a limited supply. XRP is scarce. It is finite. So as that demand increases, yeah, of course the number goes up. This is not rocket science here. And anybody that doesn't get that, I'm going to go back to, I will always go back to, you do not understand why humans buy assets then in the crypto space. It is so obvious that because of XRP's technical attributes and the real utility that it offers today, people like me and you guys, we find it appealing. And that's only going to increase. It's not about how much XRP is getting used or required to be used for any given. It's a benefit that so little XRP has to be used because it's so blazing fast. That's a benefit. And some people try and spin that into a negative. It just isn't. You remember those arguments from like 2017, 2018? Oh, XRP, it's just too fast to be valuable. Remember that? Tushar Jains and Kyle Samani, I think those are the two guys. With, what was their firm? Is Multicoin Capital or something like that? It's something like that. Those dipshits, oh my God, that's the argument they were making. It's too fast. You don't even need that XRP, so it doesn't need to be worth that much. It's too fast as a bridge currency. I'm like, no, you idiots. Who is actually giving you money? Because they're running a hedge fund. Who is giving you money if you don't understand this basic concept and you don't understand why people invest? Holy freaking hell. Well, it really grinds my gears. Anyway, peace continues. Ripple's bid to deepen its push into traditional finance comes as institutional demand for digital assets grows. The Securities and Exchange Commission and Commodities Futures Trading Commission dialing back digital assets regulation this year under President Donald Trump, a self-styled crypto champion. Bank of America and Citigroup have begun actively exploring stablecoins, with Citi recently unveiling plans to launch a crypto custody service for clients in 2026. JP Morgan in June said it plans to introduce a stablecoin-like deposit token on Coinbase's public blockchain, Base. Beyond dollar-pegged tokens, institutional investors have poured billions of dollars into spot Bitcoin ETFs since their U.S. debut in January 2024. The United States used to lean out on crypto, and now we're leaning in, and I think people underestimate how big a shift that is, and the likely impact on the entire crypto market, Garlinghouse said. Yeah, well, that's certainly true. Think about this. For the first time in history, the United States is pro-crypto, and the United States is the largest capital market on the entire freaking planet. Yeah, I think we're going to be okay. I do think we're going to be okay. It's not like things have gotten worse over the years for XRP, even setting aside the legal stuff, which actually ended up being a positive for us because XRP is legal clarity. But in terms of actual utility, things have only gotten better for XRP, and it's trended up in price for its entire existence, despite that lull when the SEC was suing Ripple, attacking XRP holders. Well, so given that things have only gotten better in terms of utility for XRP, where the hell do you think price is going to go in another 5 to 10 years? Would you speculate that the price would be higher as time passes, given that things keep getting better? Is this rocket science? Isn't this kind of easy conceptually? It's just that most people don't know about this. So you know about it, I know about it, but way less than 1% of humans have ever even bought XRP. That's it. Way less than 1% of humans on the planet have ever bought XRP. And the price has already gone as high as $3.65 as an all-time high. I don't know, guys. I think as more people figure out about this, it might go up. What do you think? Just saying. On top of building out its own services, Ripple also aims to sign deals to lend its XRP technology to larger institutions' crypto pushes, according to Garlinghouse. Okay, now that's not true. Garlinghouse would never state that the XRP ledger is Ripple's. So I know that's not correct. Even if there's some part of that where there's truth behind it, Brad Garlinghouse would never say that the XRP ledger technology is Ripple's. So that's one of the things I got to gripe about. I don't think they're trying to troll. I just think that these are the people that write these articles for legacy finance. They're not exactly crypto native, typically, let's say. They're not exactly the most savvy, but it's kind of cute. Like they're writing stuff about the crypto thing they know nothing about. At least they have complete sentences. So like they do have that up on like any crypto media outlet. I'll give them that. Grammatically, much more impressive. But in terms of knowledge, not so much. Usually not so much. Anyway, such partnerships could prove a boon to XRP, the native token of the XRP ledger, a decentralized blockchain aimed to service fast and low-cost transactions. The more we can build utility and really scale solutions that take advantage of XRP at the core, the more that will be uniquely good for the XRP ecosystem, Garlinghouse said. Well, yeah, that's spot on, obviously true. But check this out. XRP has traded sideways for much of 2025, even as Ether and Bitcoin sailed to record highs of about $3,900 and $126,000 respectively. Okay, think about this. They didn't say anything untrue there, but they completely acknowledged a key piece of information, which is that in November, XRP rocketed from 49 cents up to early December $2.90, then did hit a new all-time high in January, and then did hit another new all-time high in July. So going from 49 cents to $3.65 is way more fucking impressive than Bitcoin going from whatever the hell it was before the election. What was it, like 60,000, maybe somewhere around there? So it doubled, maybe less. I can't remember. Maybe it was 65,000. I can't remember. But so it did somewhere in the neighborhood of a 2x. That is not as impressive as what XRP did. And it's the same story for Ether, obviously. And so it just kind of burn my biscuits all up in this bitch when they say stuff like that. And then that would mislead. That would think, oh, XRP's not doing that well, but it's all the stuff's going on. Well, that's not really, that's a very selective time frame, and it's not painting a proper picture of what's actually going on since the regime change, which I would say is a far more important point in time, that election, than just arbitrarily selecting January 1st because it's a new year. Come on, guys. Anyway, but while high-profile partnerships might push up the price of XRP, deal-making with traditional institutions is likely to remain difficult due to stalled efforts to create guardrails for cryptocurrency companies and holders in the U.S., Garlinghouse said. The crypto industry lobby was once hopeful that lawmakers would pass a sweeping digital assets market structure bill called the Clarity Act before the end of the year, But with the U.S. government shutdown set to enter its sixth week, efforts to establish legislative guidelines for the industry have come to a halt. Until we have that legal go-ahead, it's going to be hard, Garland House said. Banks are looking for and need that clarity for them to really lean in. Okay, and of course, Brad Garland House is correct about that, but it is coming. The Clarity Act is going to ultimately pass, whether it's this year or at some point next year, hopefully earlier, hopefully sooner than later. It's still coming, and that will make a material difference in terms of the most conservative institutions out there, banks, leaning into crypto, which will, it's going to, look, let's be real, it's going to benefit the entire crypto space, but XRP is a huge percentage of that. And I say huge percentage of market, I'm talking market-wise, and yeah, it's about 4.5% of the total market. That is huge. Most cryptos are a tiny fraction of a percent. How many zeros out do you have to go after the decimal point? Yeah, 4.5%, pretty freaking big. So if you're talking about the asset class going from what is it, 3.5 trillion now, something like that, it's going to be worth 10 trillion one day and then tens of trillions and one day over 100 trillion. Yeah, if you're talking about XRP, even just at 4.5%, not that the percentage can't go higher, but even at 4.5%, you can figure out what that means price-wise. This is why those people who are making price predictions for XRP into the double digits, I don't think that's crazy. Now, I'm not making a price prediction myself. I admit I don't know where the price of XRP is going. I just believe higher over time. But that's why I don't think those price predictions of 10, 20, 30 bucks, none of that's crazy. And if you're talking without a time frame, XRP to triple digits, $100 plus, I don't know if that'll ever happen, but I don't think it's crazy if you're talking over a very long term. I just don't think that's going to happen anytime in the short term, but still, yeah, that's possible. Think big picture, folks. XRP is an early winner of the crypto space. We were right. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea.